fantastic, great. It's good for warts. I unfortunately don't have a wart to try it on, but people have noticed that it is very good for warts and doing basically exactly the same thing, except you could either do it chopped up fine like that or just do a slice of garlic and put it on a Band-Aid and just put it over your wart and change it twice a day, and it goes away within a week or two.
Going back to the first one there, would you use garlic oil for fungal, specifically athlete's feet?
Yeah, you could try that. If you're doing athlete's feet, you could, in addition to the garlic, apple cider vinegar. You could actually blend perhaps the garlic with the apple cider vinegar and use that as a soak for your feet. The apple cider vinegar is good for athlete's feet too. So you kind of have a two-punch thing all in one thing, the garlic and the apple cider. Okay. Garlic's great for lowering blood pressure and cholesterol, so if you have any pressure problems, it can be very helpful in lowering pressure. I've had several cases of this where they added garlic and then also used magnesium, and that combination can be helpful in lowering blood pressure as well as cholesterol. And for, sorry? Yes. I'll just say, as far as for lowering blood pressure, you don't need the fresh raw kyolic, and some of these other preparations are fine because you're not dealing with an active infection, and so you have that option of the kyolic. Garlic can be used to prevent or eliminate parasites. So what you do is you take, for prevention, take it 2 to 3 times a day, and if you have a parasite infection, you'll want a fresh raw clove, at least a fresh raw clove with every meal 3 times a day, and some places will even tell you 4 times a day. So with a parasite infection, it needs to be a little bit more often as opposed to just prevention. Pets, you can use garlic oil or garlic powder, and sometimes some pets actually like the stuff when it's mixed into their food. Mm-hmm. They get used to the powder, and you've had some experience with that?
We have a small dachshund that is just relishes, feeding garlic.
Okay. Does he have any like joint problems that it's helping him with?
No, I don't think he really does. He just enjoys the taste.
He just enjoys the taste. Well, great. It's good for his immune system and for whatever parasites that may be troubling him. Do you have problems with heartworms here?
Yes.
Yes. Do you give him heartworm medicine?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't. So maybe the garlic is what's keeping him.
Solving the problem before we even know it's there. Yeah.
Exactly, because I know in Georgia there's a problem with heartworms, and one of our members' dogs actually died from heartworms. But it's interesting that if you're able to do that for your dog.
Well, it helps keep ticks and beetles, and it's in their skin, and that's how your body gets it out of your skin,
right? And that's definitely much preferred to the flea and tick stuff that the flea bombs, and the stuff that they want to inject into the pet, and say that when the flea bites the pet, it kills the pet, kills the flea. It's probably killing the pet slowly too, it's just that we don't know it. If it's killing the flea, what is it doing to the poor pet? Something's not good there. So certainly garlic that's a great experience with your dog.
I just have a question. I was reading about garlic in cats. I don't know about dogs, but like there's a certain type you can't give them. It's fatal for them.
Especially the onions, from what I've read. Onions are more of a problem with cats than garlic is. I've given our cat garlic and the kyolic.
Like the liquid kind?
That's what I was giving her for a while. Different natural healing people will talk about using garlic with the pets, with the cats, but it seems like onion is more of an issue than garlic is with the cats.
There was some form of garlic that it said you shouldn't give it to a cat.
Okay.
I can't remember what kind it was.
Was it a form of preparation or a species?
You mean?
It's like, in other words, was it liquid garlic or raw fresh garlic they were saying, or not to?
Yeah, like powdered or something.
Okay.
I don't remember. I just remember that you have to be careful with the type of garlic you give them.
Okay. Okay. Hmm.
On the onions, is that raw only or cooked either one for the pets?
For cats specifically,
Yeah.
from what I recall, it's best to avoid onions for cats. Something about at certain points, if I recall right, it might mess with their liver a little bit. I never really got into giving our cat onion. It was more garlic that I gave her. And if you take them to the vet, they'll tell you not to give either. But from the natural healing people that I've read, garlic seems to be something that they'll use, and onions are a little bit more to be careful with.
And your cat lived over 20 years.
Yeah, she lived to be 22.
Wow.
She passed away just a month ago. Yes, so
Indoor, outdoor.
mainly indoor, but would go outside for walks. Yeah, she would go out and sleep on the deck, and there was a little drain at the edge of her property that just drained runoff water. And
Tell them about it, Dad.
okay, and she would love to lay along that. You know, 2 years ago, when she first started getting sick, she was a little overweight, and she was diagnosed with having diabetes. So the vet had us give her insulin injections for a little while, but we could never get it very well rectified. I guess it was too much. And we didn't particularly like having to do that, and there's an alternative form that sometimes are used for cats that is effective only 25% of the time. Well, we asked if we could at least try it. And in the meantime, I also started giving her supplements. She ended up getting brewer's yeast, alpha powder, slippery elm, glyconutrients, a kidney formula, potassium, kitty vitamins, digestive enzyme, and sometimes probiotics. And this would all get mixed into her food. Well, there came a point, she lost some weight, and there came a point that the vet did some blood work again on her, and well, there was no problem with diabetes anymore. So we stopped giving her even this tablet, which we did for probably a good year plus of the last 2 years. It was just down the last a few weeks of her life that the blood sugar started to become irregular, but by that time we had problems with her losing more weight, and then an infection came along, and we just were not able to counteract that. The vet figures there's some kind of underlying problem to the infection because we were giving her both colloidal silver, high dosage of the colloidal silver, plus an antibiotic, and we just couldn't get the infection to go away. And she ended up stopped eating, and that was her time. So she lived over a year longer than the vet thought she was going to live. We had to give her subcutaneous fluid injections and give her all this stuff, and she would eat that in her food twice a day, pretty much. So, yeah, she lived to be about 22. Onion. Onion is good for bruises, congestion, inflammation, swelling, infections, sprains, insect bites. So a bunch of different things onion will do for us. For bruises and bites, you can make a slice of onion, just like slice an onion in half and make a slice from that, and put it on a bruise or an insect bite. And you'll want to, if the onion has been open for a while and you take a slice from it, you'll want to put the wet side of the onion to the skin, not the dry side. That will make a difference. And you can put this on the on your ailment. You can also chop up the onion and make it as a poultice and put it over like a bruised knee or ankle or something like that, and bind it around. And this can be helpful for drawing out the congestion and the inflammation of the part. And if you want it to even have more effect, then you can put a hot water bottle or a heating pad to have an even greater drawing power, even up to overnight, depending upon what you're able to do as far as the binding it to the part. If you are dealing with, say, an infection, in addition to the onion, you'll probably want to use something internally as well, such as the garlic, etc., that we can help deal with the infection on the inside. But it can be great for bruises and bites, drawing fluid, breaks up congestions, toxins, so it's great as a poultice. It's great for congestion or infection of lungs, chest, liver, kidneys, bladder. Again, you can make a poultice for this. Just make the chopped up onion, heap it over the part, and bind it there. For lung or sinus congestions, you cut your onion in half, and you can score it with a knife into chunks and break it open a little bit so it has as much surface to the air, and put that beside your bed when you have congestion or stuffy nose, and the fumes of the onion can help to break that up. And that's good for both adults and for kids too, for little babies. So if the baby's having problems with congestion, put that piece of onion there. And sometimes babies will like it enough that you might even find they snack on it, which is fine. Onion is great for cough syrup, and it's very simple to make. You just chop up your onion, put just enough honey with it to like coat it or barely cover it when if you heat it. So you might have to add some honey and then add something again a little bit when you start to heat it. The reason being is it's easy to put too much honey with the onion. So you don't want a lot of honey. You want just a little bit of covering over the onion when it's heated in your pot. And you simmer that until the bits of onion start to break apart. You can add other things like cloves. You can add a pinch of clove buds and simmer that with it. Or if you can either pick them out, or if you grind the clove buds in a coffee grinder and put the ground clove buds in with the syrup, you can just leave the clove buds in the cough syrup. And what the cloves does is help to deaden your sore throat, as well as the honey and the onion deal with the cough. So that's been a nice little cough syrup. You can also add things like slippery elm or comfrey. If you do, that is powder, if you do, what you'll end up finding is that because comfrey and slippery elm are mucilaginous herbs, it ends up being more like more than just a liquidy consistency. It's like a thick cough syrup, and then you can just put it on the end of a spoon and eat it that way, and it's actually quite pleasant to do it, to have it that way. So that's some options for cough syrup, and very easy. Most people will have onions hanging around their house, and so when you get a cough, that's an option. Onion juice or onion water for tonic. Onion juice would be, say, like when you grate up your onion and then you squeeze out the juice. And that is going to be very potent stuff. That you'll want to take maybe a tablespoon at a time, just because it's such potent stuff. And you can take a tablespoon several times throughout the day. As far as the onion water, it's not quite so potent, but it might be a little bit more pleasant to drink, shall we say. And onion water, you chop up your onion, pour enough water over it, say in a cup or a glass. Just put enough water over it, pour enough water over it to cover it. Sit it out overnight, or at least 12 to 15 hours. In the morning, pour off the water, and you drink that half a cup at a time, a couple, 3 times a day. And then you can use the onion in your cooking. Don't underestimate the ability of onion water, even as a tonic. It will help basically your entire body organs to be revitalized, to be working at a better speed. And it can also be helpful for high blood pressure and cholesterol. And you can also use it for infants as well. So onion water is an option. Another very simple food, simple herb that can be used for many, many